Now I came
I
on.
see it. Yep,
Thank you.
we'll restart. Welcome to the first quarter service area committee meeting for Spring Lake Townhomes. Today is Wednesday, March 25th. It is now 10:03 a.m. I am Alex Georgiadis, Service Area Director. Next to me is Service Area Administrator Delise Rodriguez. Joining us online is Jacob Waddle, General Manager. In person today, we have Greg. What's the last name? Sorry.
Grace.
Great, sorry about that, from the committee. We do not have a quorum, so this meeting will be for discussion purposes only. Let's get the meeting started. Jacob has to leave the meeting a little bit early. We could jump right into an update on the litigation.
So an update on the litigation for the Spring Lake Townhomes against the builder. We had the first mediation meeting last week. This mediation meeting was between our council, your council, and the builder, and all of the subcontractors as well. It was overall positive in the sense that now all the subcontractors understand the severity of the case and understand the case more and are willing to start negotiations and to start conversations at a much better place than we were seeing in the past. While we can't speak a lot on this matter as it's still an active case, what I can say is the destructive testing that had been happening in the past few months, while I know it was hard and an inconvenience to a lot of the homeowners of this service area, it showed extremely beneficial in your case, in this case. All of that destructive testing and the work been done on that was highly documented and used in the overall presentation to all the subcontractors and the builder on showing the amount of items that were not to expectation standards and why we're in the situation we are. That really kicked off all the conversations. While it was, of course, an initial intent that the first round or the first mediation meeting, we'd get a settlement offer, or that would be good. It did not end that way. And part of the reason is we did not have all the necessary approvals from the subcontractors for them to hold the conversations that were necessary to be held. But because of the conversations that were had, they're going to get those necessary approvals so they can continue the conversations. And there are some deposition scheduled for this summer. And they're they're already scheduling another mediation meeting for this fall. This does have a trial date of early next year, that your council's ready to go, to there if that's where it needs to go, but with the intent that it can get settled beforehand. At this time, this is most of the information is between your council and the board of directors. Your liaison, Charles Richard, was in these mediation calls as well. So he was aware of what was happening. And that's about all the updates we can provide at this time. I know it's not a solution yet, but it is moving in the right direction.
Thank you, guys.
Craig, Craig, I know that we mentioned you requested something kind of based on what I just said as a write-up that you could easily share. We're still waiting on kind of a summary from Becker and Associates. They were planning to get that to us by this meeting. They have not done so, but it's more just a write-up that we can provide to share over. If they do provide that to us, I'll make sure we can write something up to provide to you to pass out or to help you in socializing this.
Yeah, ran into you, and we kind of had this conversation about that and all the things that you just articulated. And the issue here is that, as earlier stated, we got a lot of inquiries about where, kind of what the status is with, there were still a lot of issues associated with doing the checking, taking, stucco off and looking at roofs and those type of things. So I think it was a great debrief. I just want to make sure that we set expectations. And what I want to make sure is what we don't do is me say something or another, committee member say something and it can hinder our case in any way whatsoever. We need to make sure, but we need to communicate something out. And I think it needs to be a consistent flow of information to them and something that the board, as well as you guys, agree.
Is something you could do an e-blast, or would it go to the committee directly? We
probably
do.
go out as an email.
You
E-blast
could
Thursday,
just,
or prefer to go through the committee?
no, you could do an e-blast through it. And maybe it is, you could more reference this meeting. You could say, there was a mitigation, a light debrief was provided at this meeting, and here's a link to it. That way.
Anything like that would help, I think, versus trying to do a, physical piece of paper or a letter. I think probably sending it out that way, it's gonna hit the appropriate people, that have obviously been pretty engaged with me associated with questioning.
Okay. As soon as we get an update, we'll coordinate that.
Okay, perfect. That works. Thank you guys for all your work behind the scenes. I know this has been a big task. And if anything, what it's going to do is replenish the coffers, and have some obviously discretionary things that we can use in the future.
Yeah.
To help the association.
Great. Good. Anything else, Jacob?
Nope, that's all I have for now.
A part of I do have one question. Is there going to be once we get whatever the level of settlement comes, are there going to be a set of guidelines that say, all right, now we have X dollars, okay, of what these dollars can be used for? Okay, what I don't want to do is those dollars be squandered for something, because maybe we want to do replant different bushes or whatever.
My understanding is
It's a bit early to have to know on this. That's all part of the conversations as well. Because, in some instances, how the repairs are completed are in discussion on who is supervising and paying out those repairs. There's an option that, we prefer and that we'd like to see. But right now, that's part of the conversations.
Okay, I just want to make sure that because I guarantee you that's going to be a question. They're going to, once that there are people in the association, well, what can it be spent on now? I mean, again, they fought all this issue of, well, the attorneys are making too much money, all this other stuff, and now it's going to be, there's this pot of money, and I got a hangnail on because I scraped my railing coming up the porch, and I want that fixed. And, so anyway,
we would most likely seek advisement from the engineer that has been working on this case and provided the case background and all of this work in the destructive testing on an advisory sense of, once we see what comes out of this litigation case, what has to be on their professional recommendation, the main priorities. And knowing that, and then working backwards from that, as from the top of the priority list to the bottom, as our recommendation of how to proceed.
Okay.
It wouldn't just be, it wouldn't, something in this manner would not most likely be left to the board, the committee, or even management to dictate the process of how we prioritize items or what we're repairing. We would bring in engineers with background on saying, hey, these are your priorities. This is what you need to repair first.
You know how this can happen. It can spit out of control real quick. So, no, I'm 100%. I just think we need to make sure that we're communicating now, we're making progress, there's a trial date being set. And, and when we have a settlement, and then there will be structural guidelines associated with how those expenditures will be allocated. Okay. And that will be outlined as well.
Yeah.
Either legal counsel or.
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, perfect.
Great. Thank you, Jacob.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Let's jump back to the top of the agenda, financials. Service area is in good shape financially. We were looking at the cash on hand. As of the end of February, cash in operating was $112,000. And we were going to recommend investing $40,000 of that into a CD, maybe 6-month CD. So it's not just sitting, because we don't have any major projects anticipated in the next 6 months. And then the same goes for reserves, 1.4 million we have sitting there. So most, if not all of that, we can invest. Maybe a 6 month and a 1 year, but we'll look at what's coming up As far as reserve projects, the only major one coming up we saw was paint, which was a 28, 29, 30 projects. It's a three-phase project. We might look at consolidating that into a one-year project. But again, we'll see.
What about roofs?
Roofs are further down the road, and then with this litigation, we could see how that impacts that. On the reserve.
Well, because I can tell you, in phase one, we got to, because of those homes were built in 2014. Okay, so,
Typically,
again,
they do 15 years.
huh?
15-year life, typically.
Is that the guidelines now? I just want to make sure that coincides with insurance positioning, okay? Because there's a lot of insurance, well, we won't insure unless it's, and here's another thing too, that's coming and being stuffed in our mailboxes everywhere, is this whole thing and being called is, I think they know the community's age now is by roofing companies are calling. Okay.
Yeah.
And sending out notifications and saying, hey, listen, let us come and inspect your roof, that type of thing. You're at this 10-year mark. And then they go down this insurance thing, as most insurance companies will negate insurance.
Yeah.
So they're running a little bit of fear tactics. Okay. In order to try to get these jobs. I just don't want somebody arbitrarily saying, well, hey, if I can't get insurance, I better, regardless of what the association does. It's a foolish thing to do, but
Insurance companies have done that, and then we just advise to shop around and get other quotes, because the majority don't have that issue, but 15 years seems to be acceptable.
Okay.
If things change, we'll obviously reevaluate that. But typically 15 years is what we've been seeing on reserve life. And again, we look at also.
what's in our guidelines? Does it say 10 or does it say, it says?
Well,
There's a range.
Yeah, sorry, you go ahead. You have it, Alex.
It's a range, but typically they'll pin down the actual years. It'll fall right at that 15-year mark, give or take. So it's 2028, 29, and 30. So it's three-phase. So I imagine the area was built in a three-phase.
It was, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
the range provided by our reserve advisors, who does this for all of heavy amount of homeowners associations and condo associations across the United States, is recommending most of our townhome communities 12 to 18 years, which is why that most of them are funded for replacement at the 15-year marker.
Okay, all right, and that's an explanation.
Yeah.
I just think that people, again, what I just articulated, we're getting called from roofing companies, we're getting stuff in our mailboxes and that kind of stuff.
the insurance factors. Go ahead, Jim.
Another piece of advisement you can always pass along is before we even start a roofing project, we bring out an engineer to climb on the roof, to look at the roof and provide us an assessment with a report. That assessment sometimes can show us that roof can get another year or two out of it. In that sense, that we would push the project back a year. I mean, not saying that we do that commonly. Typically, we're doing them on schedule. And some of them have been reassigned to be a little sooner based on other items that have taken place. So there is flexibility. It's not super rigid on the 15-year. That's just it's earmarked on 15-year on a financial budgeting perspective. But as far as what we're tied to do, really it's that advisement of replacement within 12 to 18.
Well, and the other reason why I say this is the fact that we have had folks out there doing roof inspections, okay? So there's how do I say this? There's an opinion out there, and I'm not telling you it's a correct opinion, is that the fact that they're doing this now because they're getting ready to start the chain and change roofs out. So I just want to make sure again, there's the correct, when we get the calls or Jennifer gets the call, we all understand that, no, that's, these are the guidelines, these are the policies. And I think you just said it properly, but there again, I guess communication is the fact that I think the people in phase one is anticipating the fact that, hey, listen, they should be starting this phase of replacing roofs.
Yeah, we have two indicators. One's the insurance. If that becomes a major role here, we'll definitely look into that, maybe expediting. But flip side is, if we don't have any real life indicators, no active leaks, other service areas, we're doing repairs all the time, whereas your service area is actually pretty healthy. We had the eaves, we don't consider that roof on the front. But thankfully, We haven't had complaints, so we use that as a real life indicator, and as Jacob said, sometimes we'll defer it, we'll push it out a little bit. But our funding plan is looking at the 15-year mark.
Okay.
And
Okay.
then, again, sometimes we'll consolidate it, do it all into one, project.
Sure.
So again, well, as time gets closer, it looks like 2029 to 31 is a three-phasing for the roof.
Okay.
And we're tracking well with funding.
I don't want to make
Which
a
by
mountain
then
out
we'll
of
have a
it.
lot more understanding of where we are with this
Oh.
litigation. It should be done. It will, it will, I'm saying it almost will be done by then. So that can help on this as well as tying that into other projects.
Sure.
With that said, I have to jump off. Thank you all. Good conversation. Thanks, Craig, for all you do for your community.
Thank you, sir, as well.
Great. So those investments, I'll shoot a separate email just to get an okay from the committee members to move forward with that. It's a shame for it just to be sitting there. We could be gathering interest. We could pay for these each.
I absolutely agree. I mean, come on. I mean, it's kind of a dog with another. They do, but
According because that response has to come from there.
okay. Well, we still have to do something. You know, I talk to locally to people all over. I have more problems with getting through, and again, that's why most of he'll just call me and say, I would have missed this if you would have sent it through that system. So, I mean, personal email, for whatever reason, I don't know whether it's my system, it's probably on my end, whether I got a blocker or something that I can't fit,
So we'll coordinate with IT, try to get it going one more time.
because I gotta believe it's on my end. I mean, I have to believe it. There's something in my system that blocks those emails.
You're good. So financials, we're all set. Landscape upgrades, we've done two Muse irrigation upgrades. We've done Palmetto and Resolute. Those are complete. The Resolute was done first, and already you can see the plant materials looking much better out there. And you don't see the runoff on the sidewalk anymore. Usually you would see runoff on one side. So that's good. And we had a major runoff problem at Palmetto. And let's see now, we just did that last week. That runoff issue should go away. The staining on the sidewalk, that was for years, I understand, what was going on there.
Are they gonna power clean that?
Yeah, it's coming up now.
Okay,
We'll bring that up coming up.
Okay.
But hopefully that might be the last time we see that, if our solution is a good one. Next, we'll probably do Kiowa East Side, I believe, would be the next zone for irrigation. So some of our landscaping funds are going towards irrigation. It makes sense because without it, we can't do our plant material. Once the irrigation is confirmed working, we'll do our warranty replacements on any of those hedges, a lot of them that we're drying out. So that'll all be warranted. You won't have to pay for that. So that's the latest with landscaping and irrigation. Any input on that or any notes?
Yeah, no, I think we're making, I mean, getting a lot of positive feedback in the fact that, they're seeing work being done. There's things that are being fixed. I mean, I think it was a smart move after the deep freeze. I think you guys came back and they cut back all, they cut things back down to crowns and things like that. And right now I see nothing but new growth. So I was really pleased that we saved all those plants associated with it. And so we went through a little bit of the disfigurement type thing for a period of time, but it's a huge savings. It's a huge savings.
Yeah.
And I said, because we had a niche, all these plants are, dead and all this kind of thing. I said, some time, guys, don't, Rome wasn't built in a day. Come on.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden it's like, well, you're right, they're coming back and that type of thing. So my hat's off to you guys. And you guys are the ones that have made it happen. And I think Alvin and team have been.
Yeah, landscape was huge. Their direction, we're following their direction with that. It was huge. They're way ahead of the curve. They did it early and we have the earliest growing back.
And it's noticeable.
Yeah.
And that's perfect.
Great. Moving on, spring pressure washing, the flats, it's gonna be going on the month of April, and looks like your service area is about the third week or so. You'll get communication leading up to it for more precise dates and to prep for that.
You're talking about the
Pressure washing, only flats, so flats and up to the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
And then the back, it'll be walkway concrete and exterior.
When are we doing like the rain spouts and all that kind of stuff?
That's the next project.
You got it, yeah.
Maybe another month or two.
Because we are getting, there are a lot of exterior that and kind of like right into them getting blackened and that type of thing. So those need to be done.
That will be on the pressure washing. The gutter cleaning will be just for functionality of the gutters. What you're referring to is the later pressure washing to take care of all of them. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so, we, kind of walked the thing and they need some TLC.
Yeah. Very good. And then, just a reminder, we've put down our date for the Q2 committee meeting, June 10th, 10 a.m. We'll communicate that again multiple times, leading up to it. That's our annual meeting, and, applications are available online for all committee members to resubmit. Everyone has to redo as a refresh, renew for the year. And, you mentioned maybe we want to try to get somebody else if we think somebody else might be leaving.
Well, I know, Mark has bought a house in St. Pete. He came over and talked to me. And, so, his house is up on the market now. So that's going to be,
We'll start circulating.
yeah.
There's something.
Moving through the committee, remind me with the tentative dates for any voting games coming up after the Q2 starts, well, the annual meeting, and then also with the tentative dates for walkthroughs. So that way they know these are the dates to look out for to meet with service area. So those are gonna go out pretty soon.
Maybe in response to the community, just sort of remind them,
Yeah,
we're asking
it'll
for
go out.
volunteers.
It'll go out, because I have to send them the
Good, good, good.
dates.
Okay.
So you said June 10th at 10 a.m.?
We will get plenty of communications between now.
I'll give you a nice once in a while.
And then we have a meet and greet, service area meet and greet for the summertime. We're doing one. We did one, December, wintertime. We're doing another one now, July 23rd, 6 p.m. Island Village. That's for all the service areas to get together and just chit chat and share their problems, solutions, and generally have a good time. December one was successful. I highly recommend if you have time, come out. It's a good time. And I think that's it. Any other input or questions on your side?
No, I just want to compliment you guys. I mean, it's been a long road, but I think we're really seeing visual, I just want to make sure that the biggest thing right now is that we're in that transitional stage right now is the fact that you have the existing owners, okay, that have, for whatever reason, professionally, that they moving out of the community, we're getting a lot of, new people coming in, that type of thing. So just not aware of the history and things, and nor should they be. I mean, they bought into a lifestyle and, and that type of thing. So the whole little issues of Christmas decorations and how long they keep up their little balloon things and, and all this other kind of stuff. They're just not astute to those issues. And we don't want to get into the issue of, because I've had a lot of people come to me and start moaning and groaning. I guess, listen, they come quarterly. We can't target the issue. If there's a situation, we can then come to me and I'll get it to the right people and then it can be addressed, that issue. But I don't want you going ad hoc over, the people that just moved in the community that are new and
Do just reminders, get them accustomed.
Boy, but I can tell you, they can find me.
Good point, the direction.
They can find me. But it's one of these things here where I think that, I'm so proud of what you guys have done and so proud of what we've been able to accomplish. And, again, it's a work in process.
Good direction too. I mean, like when we raise those canopies on the magnolias, they look fantastic.
Yeah.
Little things like that.
It's those little touches that people see progress and they see people on our roofs and they see people fixing things and they're cutting back shrubberies after they, and you got Alvin walking around and saying, hey, thank you guys and thing. And,
Well, the team morale is it's high, it's very high, and they have a nice routine going too. So it's good.
Well, I tell people all the time in the community, but thank yous are kind of really nice. We kind of live on a little bit of the gratitude piece of this as well.
We have some large shrubs, some of the driveways, some folks have mentioned, we're gonna trim those down. Those big blueberries, they're a little too big, so we're gonna cut them down quite a bit.
Yeah, there's also, again, the other side of in the home side right here, there is been some debris in those alleys, okay, that have been piled up for
Landscaping debris?
Yeah, I mean, like trees and branches.
Send me a picture or an email, let me know.
Okay.
And we'll get them.
So they are coming right off Ponce, as soon as you make the turn onto Resolute,
Mhm.
okay? Kind of the first area right there.
Yeah, yeah.
They've been sitting there for frickin' ever. And so,
Okay.
so we need to make sure that we at least, I don't know if it was done by the homeowner and not done by.
Yeah, any little thing like that, send a note and we're on it within 24 hours.
So like I said, I don't want to overstep my bounds on with the other committee, but, you know, these are things that are just, you know, coming from a visual
When
standpoint.
we're aware of it, we can action it, so make sure we're aware and get on it.
What else do you need from me?
That's it. I think we're trending in the right direction. The irrigation upgrade is a huge one. So we'll do our warranty replacements. And then let's see how we are with irrigation, what's remaining, how many more we think we need to do. And then we can start looking at touch-ups for plant material. But I think overall we're good. If we do warranty replacements, then we'll do a walkthrough, see what's missing just for fill-ins or touch-ups. But generally.
So all the other, like the e-work done that, you know, you were so ready to get all that stuff done, that's all been covered, right?
We pay for it now, like, that's one of these questions, do we well, it'll go to the same fund, so we're not service area, so we're not gonna get reimbursed. Like, one item would be if a homeowner did a window, would they get reimbursed? But we paid out of, you know, general repairs or roofing, we're figuring out how to.
So what I'm hearing you say, basically, when the thing, you'll probably take a percentage of that out to cover that or no?
Because we work out of your fund, and then your fund will be replenished, so it's fine. But a homeowner now who pays on their own, that might be a discussion they might wanna have to get reimbursed for a window or a leak repair. That's for the attorneys to figure out. But yeah, if it's service area, it's your funds, and we're gonna get the money into that same fund, so it's kind of evens out.
I was gonna go off, but I know fireworks are illegal here. I was gonna go off and when the guy fixed mine and I was gonna go light some fireworks or something.
They're good, they're great contract.
They did a nice job and they did it fast.
Professional, yeah.
I mean, takes a lot to impress me, but they impressed me. They did a nice job and they were very courteous and all those good things. So,
Yeah.
and I'm hearing that
One of our
throughout.
go-to. Yeah,
throughout.
so that's good, fine.
Okay, my friends,
All right. this
Thank
wraps up our
you.
meeting. Thank you for coming, and this will
Thank you.
conclude our meeting. Thank you.
once again, guys, thank you for everything you do.
Thank you. And again, the back and forth of this communication